I want to talk to you about the difference between revising and editing. So often we think, or many students tend to think that revising and editing are really the same thing, and frequently use the terms interchangeably, but they really are very different activities. So I'm going to go through revising and editing very carefully so that you have a clear understanding of the activities that are involved with each. So a couple of famous writers have talked about writing, and they say, if it sounds like writing, I rewrite it. That's Elmore Leonard. Um, Vladimir Nabokov says, I have rewritten, often several times, every word I have ever published. My pencils outlast their erasers. Updike says writing and rewriting are a constant search for what it is one is saying. And Colette, one of my favorites, says, put down everything that comes into your head and then you're a writer. But an author is one who can judge his own stuff's worth without pity and destroy most of it. And that really, in a nutshell, is what editing is all about. Um, and editing is what will take your essay from being an okay essay or just an assignment to something that's really worthwhile, to really making a statement and saying something that people want to read and learn more about. The key to doing that is revising. And frequently, students skip this stage for a couple of reasons. The first reason that I think most students skip this stage is because they don't give themselves enough time. They simply just don't allow time for it. And the second reason that students skip revising is they've already written the essay and they feel like, okay, I've written it, it's done. I've done as well as I can. I don't need to think about it or worry with it anymore. And that really, both of those ways of thinking really don't do justice to the effort that you have put into writing. So I'm going to walk you through some of the steps for revising. So what is revising? First of all, revising and editing are not the same thing. Revising or revision literally means to see again. So you look at something from a fresh, critical perspective. You're rethinking your paper. You're considering your arguments. You're reviewing your evidence. You're refining your purpose. You're reorganizing your presentation, and you're removing all of the fluff and the stuff that's not adding to the meaning of your essay. So why is revision so important? Writing is part of finding and developing meaning, and you don't always do this in the first attempt. Often, when I'm writing, I don't know what it is I really want to say or the point I'm really trying to make until I get to the end of the essay. And then I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, that's perfect. Frequently, I'll take something from my conclusion, a line in my conclusion that I think is absolutely brilliant, and I'll move that to my thesis statement, which, can make me totally revise the entire essay. But the purpose of revision is to make sure that you review the original assignment to see if you've actually responded to the prompt that's being asked, that you've said something worth saying, that you said what you meant to say, and that what you've said is understandable and interesting to your potential reader. So when do you revise? It's really the best idea is to revise to give yourself at least an hour away from the assignment. So if you're like most of my students, Monday night at 9 p.m., you'll decide to write your essay that's due at midnight. And you'll finish around 10:30. Give yourself as much time as you possibly can. Get up, walk around, take a break, watch some TV, check your social media, whatever, but some time away from the actual essay. And again, a couple of days is much better, but at least an hour. So ideally, you would write an essay that's due Monday. You would have that written by Friday or Saturday, so that come Sunday, you can look at it again, and then Monday you can put your finishing touches on it and submit it. That's really the ideal schedule. So how do you revise? Begin with the big ideas. Revision and editing. Revision is about HOCs, you may have heard that, HOC, higher order concerns, and editing is about LOCs, lower order concerns. So your HOCs are your big ideas, your content. What is it that you're actually saying? What is it that you're being asked to write about? So you're looking at the big idea, the overarching concept in the assignment. Then you're looking at the focus, the main idea of the essay. Did you answer the question? Did you give, is your response too big, or is it too narrow? Do you need to add more information, or do you need to be more specific and focus the information that you have? Do you stay on track throughout the entire essay? Are you responding to the main ideas that you presented in your thesis statement? Look at your thesis. Do you still agree with it? Does it need to be modified because you've learned some new information, or maybe you've changed your perspective, or maybe you've somehow felt even more strongly than you did originally? Does your thesis make a sophisticated or provocative point, or does it say what anyone else would say? Think about Robert's piece and how he talks about taking the less obvious approach. This is what you want to do here. You want to look at, is this what everybody would say? Or can I attack this concept or write about this idea in a way that makes it a little bit more interesting? Are you being general rather than specific? Should your thesis be completely changed? With the writing assignments that you've done, with the research assignments that you've done rather, one of the things you probably figured out is that the more specific your research question, the easier it is to find information to answer that. So really make sure that you are answering the questions or responding to your thesis in a way that is going to support what it is you want to say. Think about your purpose. Does your introduction provide a roadmap for your readers to follow? Do you make it clear in the beginning of your essay what you're going to talk about, why you're going to talk about it? Do you provide the background information that people need to know about your topic? Do you have a hook? Are you saying something, inviting your reader in? For hooks, you have two ways to hook your reader. The first is with your title. Your title should be interesting. That means that you're not, that you've come up with something that's going to catch somebody's attention. It's not, should NFL players take a knee? But no one should take a knee, or taking a knee is treason, something like that, something that's strong. And you're like, whoa, okay, this person feels strongly about this. And then once you've gotten a good title, you can start looking at how you begin your essay. Ways to provide hooks, there's a lecture about that in your units, but one way to consider it is you can start with a quote. For example, if you're doing the NFL, you might look at some language in the national anthem. Look at what people are talking about with the national anthem and see if there's something in the lyrics that might be appropriate to start your essay. Look for balance in your paper. Do you spend too much time talking about one idea and not enough talking about another? If so, work on balancing out. Make sure you give equal time to every idea that you present. Do you have enough details? Details and description are what makes an essay interesting to read. So don't skimp on those. They make it much more interesting to your reader and much more meaningful. Is your tone and formality appropriate? These are scholarly articles, so they should be fairly formal. Are you consistent throughout? Are you slipping in and out of slang? If so, you want to get rid of that. So that's what revision is all about, looking at those big ideas. Once you've done that, look at your thesis again. Does your paper follow the roadmap that you introduced in your introduction? Do you take any unusual twists or turns that somebody might not quite follow along with? Or are you following a logical progression? Look at your organization. Does the essay follow a logical order? Do your transitions move the reader from one paragraph to a next? Do the topic sentences in your paragraphs adequately explain the main idea of each paragraph? I like to think of topic sentences and paragraphs as sort of the thesis of your paragraph. So your topic sentence should be the main idea of the paragraph, and then the rest of your paragraph should be the supporting details and the evidence that you need to supply to support that topic sentence. Look closely at the information you have provided, your research. Are all your facts accurate? Could any of your statements be misinterpreted? Have you provided enough detail? Have you correctly cited all of your information? Have you attributed to the author when you're using direct quotes or summarizing or paraphrasing? Have you made it clear to your reader that this is a summary or this is a paraphrase by introducing that your summary? Finally, look at your conclusion. Does it tie the paper together in a meaningful way? Is it redundant? Are you just saying the same thing over again? Do you end the essay on a thought-provoking note, or do you just abruptly stop? You want to leave your reader thinking. You want to have a call to action. Maybe you want to encourage others to protest, or maybe you want to encourage others to protest against the protesters. I don't know. But you want to get people thinking about what it is that you've said. Finally, revision takes time. In my opinion, it's the hardest part of writing because it takes the most time and requires the most work. You really have to think critically. You have to analyze, interpret, really think about what it is you're trying to get across, and check yourself throughout each part of your essay to make sure that you're reaching your goals. Common misconceptions about revisions. These are also reasons why people don't revise. It makes things worse. I just make it worse. I'm just going to leave it as it is. You wrote it perfectly the first time. It was awesome. It's perfect. I don't need to revise. It means changing a few words around and then proofreading. Okay, I've done a little couple tweaks, I'm done. It should only take a few minutes. Again, revision is the hardest part of the writing process because it really asks you to be honest with yourself and to look at with a critical eye what it is you have said and to think, how can I say this better? How can I improve this? How can I make sure that everybody gets what it is I'm trying to say? So once you've done that, you're ready to go on to the editing. So editing and proofreading are the lower order concerns. Those are looking at the little itty bitty things that can make an essay seem unprofessional or unfinished. So you do your editing and proofreading at the very end after you've done all of your revising. And this is when you look at where your commas are, and those kinds of things. You want to do it, I'm sorry, let me start again. Editing, this last bullet, editing is an integral part of demonstrating your standards. And no matter how painful it is, you must take care and get the details right. Editing is the difference between throwing an essay together and turning in quality work. because quality work requires careful proofreading and editing. It requires paying attention to those little nitpicky details that you don't really want to pay attention to, and you don't have to if you give yourself enough time to revise and edit. The writing part is really easy because the writing is just about getting your ideas out. And then the revising is about shaping them and sculpting them into meaningful prose. And then the editing is tweaking and checking and making sure your commas are in the right place, your periods are in the right place, you've capitalized correctly, those kinds of things. So editing is at the sentence level. That's what I'm talking about, lower order concerns. It's not the big picture, it's each and individual word and sentence. It is one-sided. The editor writes comments and corrections on the paper and returns the paper to the writer. It's hierarchical. An editor looks for mistakes and fixes them. An editor places value on writing. And it focuses on the paper as a final product, something that could be publishable, something that is a completed event. In editing, only the structure is corrected. This means you're looking at minor changes in spelling, grammar, punctuation, and sentence structure. You're not changing meaning, you're not moving pieces around when you come to the editing. If when you're editing you start to do that, then you need to begin the proofreading and editing process all over again. Because what happens when people are copying and pasting is they copy and they paste into the wrong place and they've got words out of order or they're missing words that they need to have, and so then it messes up the whole thing and it no longer makes sense. So once you start moving things around, you have to go back to proofreading and editing again. Tips for editing. Don't read large sections in one go. You will miss a lot. Read the text aloud. Your ears will find clumsy rhythms, repetitions, awkward and complex sentences, missing links, and the like that your eyes will miss. So for example, if you're reading aloud, you might hear yourself say thing 5 times in one paragraph, all right? That you're going to hear that. I said thing, then I said thing, then I said thing, and that's going to help you, oh gee, I need to use something, another word. This is boring. Remember that even though the spell check is useful, you can't always rely on it. You have to double check your words. One of my favorite typos, because I make it all the time, is I write form when I mean from. And I just do it. And so whenever I'm using from, I have to really stop and think, okay, and look at that carefully, because I do that all the time. To, and to. Am I going somewhere? Going to the restaurant? Have I had too much to eat? Or did I have 2 drinks? So those are 3 different twos. You need to make sure you're using the right one. Spell check isn't going to find that kind of an error. Proofreading will. Lots of people find that they do a better job proofreading if they printed out their essay and do it that way rather than trying to do it on the computer. It's a little bit harder to do it that way. Pay close attention when you're going through your editing to your references, okay? Make sure that you've got citations for all of your quotes. If they require in-text citations or attributions, make sure that they're included on your works cited page and that they are properly formatted. Some tools that can help you edit your essays. Grammarly is an online edit grammar checker. You can download it to your computer. It's completely free, and it will give you lots and lots of help with editing your essays. Not only will it do that, it identifies your errors, but it also tells you how to correct them and why to correct them and gives you more information. So it doesn't just fix it for you, but it explains it. So it's very helpful in that way. You can actually learn how to improve your essay by using Grammarly. The other thing that you can do if you want to listen to your essay is this video. It explains how to set up text-to-speech in Microsoft Word. Again, it's free. It's really just a toggle button that you click on and Your computer will read back to you your essay. And again, that's another opportunity for you to listen to your essay being read. And you can read along with the computer and see when things get tripped up and just sound odd to you. And you highlight those areas and then go back and look at them and see if they actually need revising. So we're about to embark on revising and editing Essay 1. It's going to be, we're going to work on that for the next couple of weeks. It's a lot of work. We're going to go step by step through the process, but I think you'll see in the end that it's very rewarding and that you have a really great final project when you're finished. If you have any questions about this little video, post them in the I Have a Question forum. And if not, I'll talk to you again soon.